Giselle Gewelle. Giselle Gewelle, Jizuru, is a Quincy and a member of the Wandenreika's Stern Ritter with the designation Z, the Zombie. The Thousand-Year Blood War Arc. After Bambietta Basterbine kills a Wandenreik soldier, Giselle, Liltato, Meninas, and Candace enter her room, with Giselle saying Bambietta made a mess again. When Candace says they should do something about Bambietta killing attractive men when she is annoyed, Giselle notes Candace likes to play with her subordinates, prompting Candace to ask her if she wants to fight before being interrupted by Bambietta blasting a hole in the wall. Later, after the Wandenreik invades the Siriidii once more, the wings of Candace's Quincy, Volstandig emerge by themselves. Noting Candace can use Volstandig, Giselle states she will not activate her Volstandig because it tires her, prompting Candace to angrily say she does not wish to use hers either. When Meninas notes Bambietta is using her Volstandig, Giselle says this is scary and states Bambietta is the last person in the world who should use Volstandig before saying Bambietta's fight will end in 1 second. After Bambietta is defeated by Captain Sajin Kamamura, Giselle and the other 3 female Sternritter approach her. Giselle says that they'll take care of her and that they'd be sad if she would be gone. Soon after, Giselle kills Bambietta. She and the others later confront 11th Division Captain Kenpachi Zaraki after he defeats Gremi Thumos. Giselle confronts several unseated Shinigami, whom she tells to aid Kenpachi instead of attacking her. However, when one of them slashes her across the chest, Giselle stands with a deep wound in her shoulder and points out how they have her blood splattered on them before revealing they are now under her control. Forcing the Shinigami to commit suicide, Giselle discusses how Kenpachi should die with Liltato, Meninas, and Candace before being startled by an explosion in the air above them. As Giselle and the others feel the ryatsu of the individual falling from the sky, they turn around and look above. She and the others watch as the individual smashes through a tower, leaving Giselle and the others dumbstruck and questioning how the individual went down with the tower, but are then surprised when Ichigo Kurosaki appears behind them. After Ichigo throws Candace into a building, Giselle, Liltato, and Meninas attack him, but Ichigo dodges their attacks and throws them into buildings as well. Giselle wonders who Ichigo is, and is shocked, and Liltato notes he is a special war power. When an enraged Candace proclaims she will never forgive Ichigo for ruining her appearance, Giselle states she is scary. After Ichigo withstands Candace's Galvano Blast, Giselle summons her bow and prepares to fight him alongside the other Sternritter. When Ichigo effortlessly repels the Heilig File of all 4 girls at once, resulting in a powerful explosion, Giselle crashes into Candace, followed by Meninas and Liltato. After moving away to avoid Candace's subsequent blast of electricity, Giselle notes Ichigo is very strong before stating he should die. Upon noticing Candace has activated her Quincy, Volstandig, Giselle notes she does not like using it because it is too tiring. Candace explains that Yawatch will grant all of her wishes if she kills Ichigo, prompting Giselle to envision nothing as her wish. After Candace loses an arm to Ichigo's Getsuga Jujisho, she has Giselle regenerate it with the zombie after Giselle teases her. She is shocked when Candace is pierced by Burner Finger 1 before getting attacked in the same manner. After Pepe Wakabrata, Nanana Nejikup, and Robert Akutron arrive, Giselle gets back to her feet and prepares to fight Ichigo 8-on-1. Soon afterward, Giselle watches as several more Shinigami confront the Sternritter. After being blasted away by the explosion resulting from Yawatch, Yuryu Ishida, and Jugram Hashwaltha's departure, Giselle is confronted by Yumachika Ayasegawa and Ikaku Madarame, the former of whom deduces that she is trying to provoke them into attacking her before theorizing her blood is dangerous. When Yumachika claims she is actually a man because she reeks of semen, an angered Giselle summons Bambietta's corpse and has her blast Yumachika and Ikaku before proclaiming they will kill all of the Shinigami. When Yumachika cuts off Bambietta's arm, Giselle picks it up and reveals that Bambietta is already dead, prompting Bambietta to blast Ikaku and Yumachika away. When Giselle states that killing Bambietta aroused her, Yumachika once again asserts that she is a man, prompting Giselle to state she can easily turn the 2 of them into zombies by splashing her blood on them. However, Mayuri Kuratsuchi arrives and states that her power is very interesting, prompting Giselle to ask him who he is. When Mayuri states that great opponents always shine brightly, Giselle points out how she did not ask him why he is shining. Bambietta moves in front of her and states that she wants something of Giselle's, only for Giselle to slap her away and state she will reward Bambietta when this is over. Noticing Mayuri is not shining as brightly anymore, Giselle asks him why and is annoyed when he calls her a common person. Giselle has Bambietta launch several bombs at Mayuri, who has Nimue Kuratsuchi throw several spherical devices in response, and is confused when the spheres do not explode right away. After the spheres explode, Giselle wonders why they did not explode immediately, prompting Mayuri to explain the mechanism behind them and how he has completely nullified the explode. In response to this, Giselle summons several zombified Shinigami, but Mayuri responds by summoning 4 resurrected Arankar. Noting that the Arankar are essentially zombies as well, Giselle asks Mayuri if he really thinks that his 4 can defeat all of hers. As she repairs Bambietta's damaged body, Giselle is approached by Charlotte Chulhorn, who claims he wants to fight her because of her resemblance to himself. Asking him why, she orders Bambietta to attack him, but the zombie is quickly dispatched. Realizing that Bambietta is not powerful enough to defeat him, she calls out for the zombie of Toshiro Hitsugaya. After Hitsugaya critically injures Ikaku and Yumachika, Mayuri theorizes that he was turned into a zombie before he died, prompting Giselle to confirm this. Giselle lands behind Mayuri and explains how those who are turned into zombies before death have better movement and reaction speeds because they have fresh cells, and can be completely controlled because they have no free will. When Mayuri asks her what fun there is in controlling someone with no free will, Giselle states she does not know because she is not a sadist. After Mayuri incapacitates the now zombified Kensei Mugiruma and Rojuro Odoribashi, he theorizes that the zombie takes longer to activate depending on how powerful the Ryatsu of the victim is before asking Giselle if he is correct. When Giselle does not respond, Mayuri explains how he has created drugs that change the composition of blood by using blood samples of members of the Godii 13 as bases, prompting Giselle to state she does not understand. When Mayuri reveals that he can take control of her zombies, Giselle expresses shock as Kensei and Rose stand up behind Mayuri, who bids her farewell as Kensei stabs her through the heart. However, Giselle survives this attack and drags Bambietta to a cave formed by rubble, where she begins to drink Bambietta's blood. When Bambietta attempts to stop her from drinking too much of it, Giselle violently beats her while proclaiming she is already dead and should give Giselle's blood back to her. Noticing that she has killed Bambietta, Giselle hugs her and proclaims that she is cute even in death as Lil Tato arrives and notes she is still alive. Giselle asks Lil Tato what happened, prompting Lil Tato to explain how she killed Peppa and incapacitated Meninas. Lil Tato watches as Robert Acutron arrives and reveals that Yawatch is going to kill them with Oswalin before being engulfed in a beam of light, which prompts Lil Tato to grab Giselle and leap away. Holding Bambietta, Giselle tells the corpse that she refuses to die. Soon after, Giselle confronts the Shinigami trying to get to the Soul King Palace alongside Bazbi, Na, and Lil Tato. When Giselle summons several zombified Shinigami, Mayuri notes their arrival, prompting Giselle to stick her tongue out at him. After Bazbi reveals their intention to help the Shinigami in exchange for going to the palace with them, Giselle, Lil Tato, and Bazbi are given orbs to charge with their rapier and begin constructing the doorway alongside the Shinigami. Eventually, Giselle and the others enter the royal realm, where she, Bazbi, and Lil Tato quickly move to Silburn. Bazbi notes that the Gate of the Sun is still intact before declaring that they will kill both Yawatch and Hashwal. Teaming up with Lil Tato, Giselle decides to confront Yawatch while Bazbi clashes with Hashwal. However, Yawatch easily dispatches them, with Giselle being incapacitated and collapsing before her comrade as blood begins to pool around her head. Appearance: Giselle has blue eyes and long, black hair extending down to her lower back, with 2 strands sticking up like antennae. Her attire is a variation of the Sternritter's typical white uniform, consisting of a trench coat with long sleeves, white shoes, and black leggings. She wears a small white cap, which features a black peak and the Wandenrake insignia emblazoned on its front, on the side of her head. She also wears a blue heart buckle on her waist. Personality: even in dangerous situations, she almost always has a happy or goofy expression on her face. Giselle has an antagonistic relationship with Candace Catnip. She claims Candace likes to have fun with her subordinates, and frequently mocks her power and temperament. However, she is willing to help Candace when requested. In battle, Giselle is very cruel, using the zombie to force several Shinigami to kill themselves while they retained awareness of their actions and begged her to stop. However, she claims to not be a sadist. She has no qualms with using her unique powers to turn the bodies of her fallen friends and comrades into weapons to fight with. Giselle frequently uses reverse psychology to trick opponents into attacking her and triggering her special ability. Powers and abilities: the zombie, Za-Zombie, Japanese for deceased. Anyone who has Giselle's blood splattered on them falls under her control, effectively becoming a corpse, shirtai, and doing whatever Giselle orders them to do, such as commit suicide. This aspect of her ability does not work on fellow Quincy, unless they have already died. Once a Quincy has died, however, Giselle can summon their corpse at any time and remotely activate their abilities, such as when she had Bambietta's corpse blast Yumachika Ayasegawa and Ikaku Madarame. The amount of blood required to zombify someone depends on the strength of their Ryatsu. If it is low, Giselle only needs to use a drop of blood to zombify them once it reaches their brain, but if it is high, the blood must be diffused at the heart and spread throughout the entire body before the zombie can take effect. This is why zombified captain class individuals have reddish skin. However, their blood does not contain special properties like Giselle's does, so there is no risk of opponents falling under Giselle's control by coming in contact with the blood of her zombies. Reaction speeds, additionally, they are the only zombies Giselle can completely control, as their personality vanishes in the process. Healing, Giselle can use her power to heal her comrades by using the flesh of the deceased to replace their own. She can even replace a lost limb by removing a corresponding limb from a corpse. She can also reattach severed limbs to her zombies by holding the limb in the proper place. Additionally, Giselle can endure and heal herself of any fatal injuries which she may sustain in activating the zombie. Racial manipulation. As a Quincy, Giselle primarily absorbs spiritual energy from the atmosphere and combines it with her own spiritual energy to form weapons. She has an easier time collecting this energy in environments with higher concentrations of racial, such as Soul Society or Hueco Mundo. Hirenkyaku, flying screen step, viz., flying bamboo blind leg, is an advanced Quincy movement technique, allowing the user to move at high speed by riding on the flow of racial created below their feet. Enhanced durability. Giselle possesses considerable durability, withstanding being thrown into a building by Ichigo Kurosaki with only minor injuries. Enhanced endurance. Giselle is a particularly enduring combatant, quickly getting to her feet after being pierced by Basbi's burner finger 1. Spirit weapon. Heilig Bogen, Heirihi Bogen, German for Holy Bow, Japanese for Sacred Bow. Giselle uses a bow as her primary weapon. She keeps the short bow in a collapsed state within a heart container she keeps on the side of her belt. When Giselle clicks the heart, the bow pops out above her. There is a heart centered at the middle of the bow with the two arms branching out of it. The arms of the bow are shaped like linked bones. Giselle grabs hold of the heart portion with one hand and pulls back on a racial string with her other hand to fire like a normal bow. Heilig Pfeil, Heirihi Puferu, German for Holy Arrow, Japanese for Destroying Arrow of Sanctity. Giselle can fire powerful Heilig Pfeil from her bow. The tips of her Heilig Pfeil are shaped like skulls. Former powers and abilities. Quincy, Volstandig. Giselle's Quincy, Volstandig grants her large racial wings shaped like bones. Weakness. The zombie. Love. Giselle's control over her zombies can be overridden by Pepe Wakabrata's The Love, which has allowed him to take control of her zombies several times in the past. Blood counter. Mayuri Kuratsuchi developed a drug based on Godei 13 members' blood samples that replaces the blood within the zombies with blood which he has developed, allowing him to take control of the zombies.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.